All right, we have an Iran peace deal, but is it for real this time? Is it like for real, for real? Like, is it going to hold? Like, I don't know. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And I like to be the guy that can just tell you for certainty. I'm not a wishy-washy guy. I don't like to straddle the fence here. But in so many instances, I come and I can tell you, this is right, and this is wrong. And this one, I don't know. Kind of bothers me. But I'll nail that. The fact that I don't know, because the wide open biggest question of the entire Iran peace deal arrangement is the uranium. What's going to happen with the uranium, James? I don't know. They don't know. Trump doesn't know. They're not telling us. We're going to have another 60 days to where we work out something to deal with the uranium situation. But what happens if we don't have something worked out in 60 days? War back on. So this might not be the end of the Iran war, even if we have everyone agreeing to it, even if there's an official piece of paper signed by some official person in Switzerland later this week. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but if you're skeptical, rightfully so. How many head fakes have we already endured in being promised that the Iran war is over? So I'm going to give you each side. Just imagine a debate stage here, or maybe like an episode of Law and Order where you got one case on one side, the other case on the other side. I'm going to play you former President Barack Obama, who recorded an interview that I think is going to be played on Wednesday, but they released part of it yesterday as sort of a promo. But he gives it a nice, about 2 minutes of what he thinks is going on with the Iran situation. And then J.D. Vance had called into Fox News last night, and just live off the cuff, you can tell there was sort of the prepared bullet points that he had to get across. I don't think it was scripted, but he definitely had 3 bullet points. And so this was the intentional messaging from the Trump administration. And I'm just going to play them back to back. How about that? We'll start with Vice President J.D. Vance.
Well, first of all, I do think it's a big moment for the United States of America. Thanks, of course, to the president's leadership and the hard work of the entire team. 3 things that I think are important for the American people just to appreciate about what this deal does for all of us as Americans. Number one, this is the immediate opening of the Straits of Hormuz and, of course, the lifting of the naval blockade that we've had on Iran along with it. The number 2 thing that it means is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and not just pursue a nuclear weapon, but procure or try to buy a nuclear weapon as well. That's built into this agreement. And then the third thing is, and this only happens, to be clear, if Iran delivers on their promise. And so there's an approach here where we verify and where there are real benefits so long as Iran meets their end of the obligation. But if the Iranians comply with his deal, it is going to fundamentally transform the Middle East for the next 50 years. It's going to end the war. It's going to make the Middle East more investable. It's going to mean a lot of prosperity, lower energy prices for the American people. This region of the world has been a basket case for my entire life and longer than that. And what the president has really set us to do is to certainly eliminate the nuclear threat of Iran. That's done. But now possibly to build to a new era of Middle East prosperity and success, where it's not a region of the world where the United States has to worry about so much, but where, frankly, we can generate a lot of prosperity for the American people out of that region. That's a very, very big win, and it all happened because the president stuck with it.
I get what the goals are, but I didn't get the function on what's going to happen with the uranium. Other than that, I like the sound of all that. It doesn't have to be a true statement, even if I don't know the logistics of how it's going to happen. I'm just saying if there's a little caution in my voice, if there's a little bit of kind of arm's length between liking this deal, it's just based on that. Now, on the other side of the aisle, Obama actually makes the case why I think this probably could be a real deal. Because Obama came out and just hours before the deal was announced saying he doesn't see a deal happening. Oh, well, then I guess it is going to happen. The guy who's been wrong on pretty much every geopolitical conflict in your observation probably has this one wrong too.
It is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place and had worked for a long stretch of time before the United States pulled out of it. So I'm hopeful that bombing stops and ordinary people are no longer suffering as a consequence of the war. I think in retrospect, it's a reminder that on a lot of difficult foreign policy problems, the notion that we can just bully our way or bomb our way to solutions may sometimes seem appealing, but the fact of the matter is that taking the time to explore diplomacy and exhaust the possibilities of coming up with deals that don't solve 100% of the problem, but solve 80, 90% of the problem, while avoiding the necessity of going to war.
Why do people even say that? That sounds so crazy to say. Whoa, we can't just bomb our way, bomb people into submission, bomb people into getting our way. Excuse me, isn't that how we've won basically every war? Isn't that how we got rid of like the Nazis, right? We didn't ask them nicely. It wasn't diplomacy. They sent my grandfather over to crush the Imperial Japanese and he got shot in the face. That's how we did it. Wasn't because someone went over there and they were polite and they had their tie, the tie just right. No, it's blowing stuff up. That's how most things get solved in history. Yeah, the Romans just conquered the ancient world by asking nicely. No, man, they went in like William Wallace and Braveheart. That's all. In fact, this is how most of the major changes in history have happened. Now, for most of history, it was, swords and arrows and whatnot. But now that we have bombs, it is bomb. And this is how all problems are going to be solved going forward, Obama. But we can't just bomb our way into... I'm sorry. I mean, there are like empires that can collapse from within without being bombed, like the Soviet Union and whatnot. But when there's conflict resolution to be had on the battlefront, bombs are pretty effective. All right, your response to the Iran war, I'll continue with mine, 800-288-9227, because I'm going to look down the economic path. We have a guy from the oil patch that's going to come on and give me a little assist on how this Iran deal is already affecting your money. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Homeowners, it has been a really rough year for your roof. It is not just you. It is not just anecdotal. There has been a ton of hailstorms. And if you're thinking, boy, this is more hell than we usually see, you're right. It is. So if your roof is getting a little old, you might want to get it checked out. If your roof had to deal with any of these hailstorms, if you just had like a little light pelting of hail, you want to go to blueribbondfw.com because the inspection doesn't cost you anything. So to have them come out and check it out, it gives you the peace of mind and lets you know that your roof is okay. And if they do find something wrong with it, you will thank me later because you have just saved yourself thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by not letting water infiltrate your attic and do all kinds of horrible things. You can go to blueribbondfw.com, check out some of the 5-star reviews where this one says, well, you really have a handsome spokesman there. I'm kidding. That's not one of them. Like this one from Francisco. Blue Ribbon, first class all the way. Guided us very helpfully through our process with our insurer until successfully obtaining claim for roof repair from hail damage. Very good communication, always very professional. Owners are very, very customer focused. We couldn't be more pleased. So if you had any of these hailstorms hit you, go to blueribbondfw.com, get your free roof inspection, and then leave a good Google review for us. All right, how is the Iran war already affecting your money? I'm James Parker. This is the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I know the guys before me, Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins, they're on from 11 to 2. They were talking a lot about the peace deal with some, I guess the best description is cautious optimism, wouldn't you say? My next guest from America First Refining, John Kelsey. He's also an economic expert. And let's just go ahead and lean right into, the guy listening right now. How does this affect his wallet? I think the two main things that we could all agree on is number one, the stock market. Number two, the price of oil. Well, I do have a big block of salt we call skepticism on my shoulder here. And what if we don't get something worked out on the uranium in the next 60 days? There seems to be sort of a snare that's built into this agreement. Well, I was on under the impression that there was a whole lot of oil tankers that were just parked up in the Persian Gulf waiting for Hormuz to be open. Now that it's open, does all that oil hit the market at once? Are we about to see oil crater down to $40 a barrel? Well, John, we're talking with John Kelsey, AmericaFirstRefining.com. And John, if we have the Strait to Hormuz can remain open, even if Iran has a hissy fit, then in my eyes, that's then I don't have to worry too much about the uranium deal getting sorted out. Because even if we do have a fuss and start dropping bombs, does the oil industry think that there's very little chance it will be interrupted again? Well, do we see Iran doing more with their infrastructure, building pipelines so they can get out because they've kind of choked themselves off with the Hormuz blockade? All right, John Kelsey, you work at America First Refining. Let me ask you a question out of left field. Whatever happened to the Keystone XL pipeline? Are we still doing that? So the Iran situation gets worked out. We have peace in the Middle East. Everything, air quotes, goes back to normal. What's the price of oil going to look like? Yeah, I did 320 at Bucky's today. All right, John Kelsey, thank you very much. AmericaFirstRefining.com. Appreciate your expertise. Thank you, sir. Coming up next, the world has its first trillionaire, Elon Musk, and some people are having a hissy fit. I will address the hissy fits coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So the world has its first trillionaire. Shouldn't he have like a mountain layer, like in a volcano by now? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I tell you what, man, this is why God won't let me be successful. Because if I had $1 trillion, I would have a layer in a volcano already. Like it would have probably happened at about 10 billion. Actually, I'd have been an early adopter in the volcano layer. It just looks so cool. And, you know, travel's not that big of a deal. Got a couple helicopters that can just rotate back and forth. It'll be nice. But I actually, if you're new to the show, I am a free market capitalist pig. And I say that with pride. It's the greatest economic system ever known. So you can probably derive from that I am not upset about some guy making $1 trillion, as long as he didn't steal it, as long as it wasn't some guy that was, I don't know, just grifting from the government, as long as it wasn't from like a leering sinner. But a lot of people aren't too happy about that. First, let's talk about what made him a trillionaire. Does he have $1 trillion actually sitting around in a bank account anywhere? No. Does he have 500 billion sitting around in a bank account anywhere? No. He has actually, his liquid assets aren't anywhere close to $1 trillion, but there was the IPO. New people, initial public offering. When a company first issues shares and goes public, they have an initial public offering where they sell the stocks to the public for the first time. And that's when the people who started the business and have a bunch of ownership stake get the cash in. And, you know, Elon is going to save a big enough of a share of his stocks that he still controls the joint. But not only was Elon made amazingly rich, over 4,000 people became millionaires in this IPO. Now, does that mean they have $1 million in the bank? No, but the shares that they own of this company are now worth more than $1 million. But here was Elon's statement, and listen to how aspirational this is. Yes, it has a business foundation and undertone, but this is a guy with big ideas.
Yeah, it is certainly hard to believe that a little company that started in a warehouse in El Segundo is now going public with the largest IPO that ever. And let me tell you, if people had told me this was going to happen, I was like, man, you must be smoking some really good crack, because I think this company's going to fail. I mean, I gave SpaceX less than a 10% chance of succeeding at all, to be clear. In fact, I told people this. I said, look, we're probably going to fail, but we should give it a try, because if we don't, if there's not a new company that enters space, we will never be a truly spacefaring civilization. While the other aerospace companies, they build good rockets and everything, they were simply not pursuing the technology that's necessary to make life multiplanetary, to make Star Trek, to make the exciting science fiction futures that we've read about real. And that's what SpaceX is all about. It's to take the fiction out of science fiction and create an exciting, inspiring future for everyone. We want to be able to take anyone who wants to go to the moon, anyone who wants to go to Mars, or anyone in the solar system, and maybe beyond the solar system at some point. We want to be able to take you there. Not just a few astronauts. I mean you, literally you. If you watch, whoever you are watching this, SpaceX wants to be able to take you to the moon, take you to Mars, and ultimately beyond. And I'm confident at this point that with the incredible team that we have here at SpaceX, that we will do that for you.
All right, now does that sound like Dr. Evil? Does that sound like someone who is actually going to get a volcano layer and do evil things with it? Now, if you're not a free market capitalist and you're a socialist, you hate this. You also hate this if you're a malignant narcissist who thinks other people's success is a sign of your failure. Oh, he can't be doing better than me. He does so much better than me. No one can earn $1 billion. No one can earn $1 trillion. No, you're just a loser. We were all woke up this morning, went out, tried to get as much money as we could. He just did a lot better job than you, and that bothers you. It shouldn't. but it does. And then you have Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas coming out. Guess what? The socialist doesn't like the fact that there's a trillionaire. If there's going to be anybody spending $1 trillion, it's going to be government bureaucrats, damn it. So here's Elizabeth Warren.
Elon Musk is officially the world's first trillionaire. Think about that. We're living at a time when more and more people are just hanging on by their fingernails to survive in this economy. And Elon Musk has more money and more wealth than anyone in human history. I want to be clear. This is not just some fluke. It is a feature of a rigged economy. Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill cut healthcare for millions of Americans to give guys like Elon bigger tax breaks. The tax code rewards CEOs for firing workers and replacing them with AI. Loopholes have allowed Jeff Bezos to pay an effective tax rate lower than a Boston public school teacher. And we are left with a country where a handful of billionaires at the top pop champagne in their $300 million yachts, while working people take on even more shifts to try to pay off their student loan debt. The top 1% of U.S. earners now have more wealth than the entire middle class. We need to overhaul our tax code. We need a wealth tax. And it's about time that corporations paid their fair share. Today's marker should be a wake-up call that enough is enough. Time to make change.
None of that was related. The fact that Elon Musk has $1 trillion has absolutely zero effect on someone else's ability to pay for their student loan. What was the connection here? It's like in Big Lebowski. He's like, what was all that Vietnam talk? Where did that come from? Make no mistake about it. Elon Musk did not cheat, lie, or steal to become a trillionaire. He is insanely rich because he started a company that is worth that much money to people who voluntarily put forth their money to buy the stock. Explain to me how Elon Musk's net worth has prevented anyone from having health care. And it goes back to the millennial woes quote. It's amazing how much leftist discourse is just them pretending to not understand things, thus making discourse impossible. Not a single one of your problems are because someone else is rich. Remember, another thing you just learned today from Pocahontas there, $1 trillion of wealth, it's totally excessive. But $40 trillion of debt, that's totally cool. No problem. No problem there. Coming up next, all right, is everyone on the shot but you and me? Are these people going to have some sort of cancer or some sort of health risk that's coming down the pike for all these people that are on the weight loss shots? Well, we'll find out with alternative health expert Danielle Lynn next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, are all these people that are on the shot, are they going to be okay? Some of them don't look like they're going to be okay. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. My next guest is a certified nutritionist and is well versed in a lot of these alternative areas. And I don't want to say gray area, but this is sort of a new frontier that a lot of us feel uneasy about because it is so new. But Danielle Lynn, first, thanks for coming on the James Show. And look, first, it looks like it's working for a lot of people. We've always been waiting for our whole life. How do you lose weight? Well, diet and exercise, or you have some sort of surgery where they take half your guts out. And we've always just wanted the pill, or we've always just wanted a shot, and we get to lose weight. And I think we have it. But are these people going to be okay? Well, Danielle, when they first came out, I look into these things and it's made from like lizard spit or something crazy like that. And as we've gotten new generations of shots, and we're now a couple of years into this, there's been some like GLP-3s that aren't made from some weird animal base. It's just a regular old peptide in a lab. Should we be looking at these newer iterations and shunning the older ones? You know, I am suspicious just because it works. And we've seen all these movies where, hey, we found some new drug. And then all of a sudden people turn into zombies or they grow like a stegosaurus plate out of their back. Or I don't know. I saw the first season of Pluribus. So I don't know. I'm super skeptical. I'm never one to get in on the first generation of anything. Like, I don't want to be the first guy to buy a laser disc or the first guy to have a self-driving car. I don't want to be on the front lines of this new weight loss technology. Well, Danielle Lynn, I have some weird affliction, and maybe a peptide can fix it, where I feel a buzz on my leg where my cell phone is, and then I check my cell phone and nothing, but I could have swore I felt a buzz on my thigh. And I don't know if it's like some variation of restless leg syndrome, but that is some malady that takes up a lot of my time during the day. No, so sometimes I think I felt my phone vibrate. Like I could swear, like if I was under oath with my hand on a Bible, did you feel your leg buzz? I would say yes. And then I would check my phone and no one's called. I don't have a text message, nothing. No. All right, Danielle, and this was a good intro to the James Show audience. When you come back next time, we're going to talk about that frequency discussion. Okay, I want to talk about those little stickers you have on your forearm. If people already know what she's talking about, that's coming up on a future episode of the James Show. Where do they find you online, Danielle? Thank you very much. Coming up next, you're going to hear Mark Cuban's response to Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire, but really his response to the criticism of Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. So Elon's a trillionaire. What does a billionaire think? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I know, good to see you too. I missed you over the weekend. I know, it's so sad without you. But no, Mark Cuban has responded to Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire, and not really Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire as much as the response to Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire. And I like playing the sensible people on Team Blue just to remind the people on Team Red that they're not all evil. They're not all the AOC Bernie Sanders wing. There is the sensible, moderate wing that hasn't lost their mind when it comes to economics. Mark Cuban's a good example. You hear me play a lot of Bill Maher because he's another good example. I'm going to play some Stephen A. Smith later in the show. He's another good example. But Mark Cuban is also a great example because unlike Bernie Sanders or AOC or Elizabeth Warren, he actually did get into the business world, build an empire, and earn billions of dollars. And so he knows when someone says you didn't build that, he knows that's wrong because he most certainly built his wealth. He most certainly earned his money. He didn't screw anybody over on his way to be getting $1 billion. And so I like listening to him because so much of what you and I say gets automatically rejected just because we are who we are. We got it. We're literally Hitler. You wouldn't argue with Hitler on his social security policy. You would just go fight Hitler. But let me read you some of Mark Cuban's tweet here. Not the whole thing because it's really long. But I like this. I like this guy. He says, the reason anyone gets insanely rich is almost always because of the stock market. It is certainly how Elon Musk did. The reason they got rich from the stock market is because 150 million Americans decided they wanted to own shares of stocks directly or through their retirement plans or through other approaches as a way of building their net worth and trying to create a better life for themselves. 150 Americans, about 60% of adults. I could cut it off right there and it's already a win. It's already the criticism that you heard from Elizabeth Warren, where you know that nobody could starve if we just had the, oh, get out of here. Just stop with that. No, he's right. About 60% of adults are now going to do better if SpaceX does better. We are all in this together. And if you're thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. 60% of adults didn't go buy SpaceX. No, but a bunch of them do have money that just slides off into some target date fund in their 401k on their corporate intranet. And within that 401k, someone's buying an S&P index, someone's buying a Dow index, someone's buying a NASDAQ index. They're spreading it out. And so some of that money is going to ownership stakes in SpaceX, whether it's through a mutual fund or an ETF or who knows. But when you look at it like that, Mark Cuban is pointing out one of the things that makes me tear my hair out about socialists when they're like, oh, this should be owned by the people. It's a publicly traded company. It is owned by the people. All right, let me continue with Mark Cuban's tweet because this is good stuff. Effectively believing that Elon Musk and many billionaires could make them wealthier and help them achieve a better life. If you want Elon Musk and most billionaires to no longer be that rich, convince those 150 million to sell their stocks, funds, ETFs, whatever. Of course, you would wipe out the net worth of most of these people and everyone else's savings, and the markets crashed and brought down the economy and created the worst depression we've ever seen. Alternatively, there are ways to improve healthcare access and eventually make it available to all. To start, if you want Elon Musk and all billionaires to improve healthcare for everyone, ask them to stop doing business with the enormous healthcare conglomerates and to work directly with transparently priced care providers. Now we're going. This is a guy who's saying we need to go around all these weird programs that have been set up by the government and just go straight to the market. He's a free market capitalist who happens to be on Team Blue. Love that. Another reaction. Check this out. Margaret Thatcher. That what she's saying here in the early 80s applies to the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders and the Elizabeth Warrens. And there's a whole lot of other people going down the road of nobody deserves to have that much money. That's not fair. That's evidence of a broken system. Something's wrong when this guy has $1 trillion and there's other people who don't have anything to eat. Oh, stop it. Margaret Thatcher, go.
You want to keep more of the money you earn. I'm afraid that's very selfish. We shall want to tax that away. You want to own shares in your firm? We can't have that. The state has to own your firm. You want to choose where to send your children to school. That's very divisive. You'll send your child where we tell you. Mr. President, the trouble with Labour is that they're just not at home with freedom. Socialists don't like ordinary people choosing, or they might not choose socialism.
Dang, that's Margaret Thatcher. They didn't include that in the movie The Iron Lady. They just had some fantasy about how she was delusional and hallucinating. Great movie, though. Meryl Streep got an Oscar for that lie. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, you're going to get an economics lesson from Charles Barkley. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Why do you care if someone else has $1 trillion? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I bet you already know what I'm talking about. Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire. Elizabeth Warren's not having it. MSNBC is crying over here. You're seeing the same line of attack that was used. Remember when Elon bought Twitter 2023? Wasn't that 2024, somewhere around there? They were saying, oh, instead of spending $50 billion on Twitter, he could solve world hunger, which is one of the craziest things to say in the world because we spend over $2 trillion on social programs every year. So you mean to tell me we could solve world hunger? What is that? Like almost 140 times over? 400 times over? 40 times over. Yeah. So they're doing the same thing now. Well, if Elon Musk didn't have $1 trillion and everyone could have health care and everyone wasn't starving first, then yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Where does this come from? I think it just comes from good old envy. I think it also comes from a sense of resentment and cognitive dissonance because they are told that capitalism is a hellscape. It creates crushing inequality. But we don't have crushing inequality here. The inequality we have in capitalism is because some of our guys get to make trillions of dollars, but the rest of us get to live on, like what's the median household income now? $70,000? All you have to do is not be a mouth-breathing lunatic, and you can probably, in a household, get to $150K quite reasonably, live a pretty good lifestyle. But in socialism, there is the grinding inequality of Venezuela, where most of the country is not billionaires. In fact, it's just the Maduro and Chavez families that are the only billionaires left, while the rest of you have to break into the zoo to eat the zoo animals. James in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Great.
Good, great. You said everything that I wanted to say. This is a socialistic idea. This is why Warren and the rest of these people are complaining. First off, it wasn't their dadgum idea. They didn't come up with it. They can't make the billions off of it like he did, and they're upset because they were born here and raised here. He came here as an immigrant, and he's done something that says exactly what the Republicans, what MAGA is trying to say. You can come to America, and you can be successful if you work hard. See, that's not the narrative they want. I've gone on to Robinhood and tried to invest. I think they were 135 in the beginning. Now they're up to it's up. There's two different SpaceXs. I don't know which. I invested in both of them, and one of them's SpaceX, and then one of them's X Technology Global. But I invested in both of them. One of them's 56, and one of them's 190. I'm going to utilize this to the best of my ability to make as much money as I possibly can, and I'm happy that people like this in America are successful because, like you said before the break earlier, this is going to affect our S&P investments and the things that we're investing in. Somehow this is going to trickle down to us.
Well, I don't even know if it's going to trickle down to you. I get what Mark Cuban was saying in the fact that 60% of people are going to be participating in the upswing on this. It really just feels like it doesn't have that deep of a thought process to it, James. You're not wrong in what you're saying. I think it's just really just simple envy. I think half of them don't even know that they're socialists. And so if they're saying what the socialists are saying, it's just they're repeating what they've heard their betters tell them. But for the true believers, there's not a whole lot there even for them. I think it really is just envy.
God bless you and bless your show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. All right, here's an economics lesson from Charles Barkley. Because Elon Musk didn't steal his $1 trillion of net worth. He created wealth. He created something new. This company didn't exist before. These things that he has created didn't have to be stolen from anyone else. He didn't take gold from someone's chest. He didn't steal someone else's rockets. He didn't steal someone else's electric cars. And so a more simple version of that, Charles Barkley was praising Michael Jordan for what he did on the business side of the basketball world. Same thing.
People act like not guys are making 30, 40, $50 million. When I got to the NBA, the average salary was $200,000, $250. And then Magic and Bird came. The only thing I feel bad about is, guys like Russell, Dr. J, most of those guys were the foundation, but we were all born at the right time. I mean, I know I'm not as good as Bill Russell. Bill Russell made $2,000, and I was making $3 or $4 million, just because I was born at the right time. And not only just because of the basketball and the money and Michael bought the shoes. People forget, man, wasn't nobody doing commercials before Michael?
Yeah.
Now everybody does commercials. I mean, Michael did two things where I always tell people I think he's the GOAT. And, number one, the shoe thing. Nobody was making money before shoes before Michael. Now guys all making $300-400 million a year because of Michael. Well, a couple guys are making that much, but that's because of Michael. And then secondly, we all got commercials. Nobody made commercials before Michael Jordan came along. So Magic, Bird, and Michael, to me, man, I think those guys, for me, never had to get a real job. It means a lot to me, those three guys.
I didn't really realize that. Michael Jordan came up about the time that I was coming into the consciousness of the outside world. They didn't have shoe deals before Jordan. Dr. J didn't have a shoe deal. Bill Russell didn't have a shoe deal. Jerry West didn't have a shoe deal. And so that is kind of amazing. Not that Michael Jordan had a shoe deal, but he created this whole economy on top of the basketball and athletic wear worlds. So did Michael Jordan steal his billionaire status? Remember, no one made enough. No one deserves to be a billionaire. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And the easy takeaway is, if you're a free market capitalist, I mean, I'm a libertarian, Austrian economist right here, baby. I love this because what I recognize is that not only am I not envious of Elon Musk having $1 trillion, I would much prefer he have it than the people in government. So when you talk about, well, we need a wealth tax. Well, is it going to be better off in your hands? Yes, it's evil for one man to spend all this money. So what are you going to do? Government's going to spend it. Aren't y'all just men too? And what does your track record of investments look like? Milton Friedman talks about why you would much rather have Elon Musk figure out where that money is going to be spent. Most of it's going to be invested versus AOC.
You can spend your own money on yourself. And when you spend your own money on yourself, you're very careful of what you spend it on, and you make sure that you get the most for your dollar. You can spend your own money on somebody else. You give gifts to other people. You take people out to dinner. And when you spend your own money on somebody else, you're very careful that you don't spend too much. You try to keep down the amount you spend. But you don't worry very much about what the other fellow's getting from it. You don't pay anything like as much attention to the gifts you buy for other people as to the things you buy for yourself. Or you can spend somebody else's money, as when you're spending the government's money. I say the government's money, the taxpayers' money, which the government has control over. Now you're spending somebody else's money. Let's say you're out to lunch on an expense account, but you're spending it on yourself. You're very careful that you get good things for your money. You try to have a good lunch and pick the right things, but you're not very much worried about whether you get the cheapest.
Spend all you want.
Spend all you want. You'll be careless. Now, what happens when you spend somebody else's money on somebody else? You're a distributor of welfare funds. You're not going to be anything like as careful in spending somebody else's money on somebody else. So there are 4 ways in which you can spend money. And we have in our book, Free to Choose, a little box which shows this. On one side of that box is your money, somebody else's money. On the other side of that top part of that box are 2 columns, on yourself or on somebody else. And that corner box where you spend money on yourself is when you really get your money's worth. And the rest, the worst of all, is the right-hand box, when you spend somebody else's money on somebody else.
And that explains the schools today.
That explains the schools today. You're right. All so-called public schools, government schools, people are spending somebody else's money on somebody else. The teacher isn't spending his own money on the children. He's spending the taxpayers' money on the children. And that goes throughout the system, absolutely.
Now, that was from 1980. That also applies now to student loans and healthcare and education and the Leering Center. Coming up next, the economic debate continues. Elon Musk is a trillionaire. How does this affect your money at all? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, we have two big headlines that are affecting your money. Number one is the Iran peace deal. Number two, Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire with the SpaceX IPO. Here to give you an assist on what this could mean and how this could affect your money, Kathy DeWitt from DeWitt & Dunn. You hear her on Sundays here on WBAP. And Kathy, let's start with the Iran war peace deal. We've seen the stock market jump up, price of oil go down. Is this going to fall apart if this peace deal falls apart? So let's talk about the stock market now has room to run if this thing sticks. If you believe it's going to stick, how do you take advantage of that? Well, Kathy DeWitt, that's kind of my next topic I wanted to talk about, the SpaceX IPO. I like Elon Musk. Everything he's done so far has turned out to be a winner. I kind of want to get into this. Should I? Well, I also feel like I'm going to be that guy that puts, I don't know, 20 grand of my IRA into SpaceX, and then tomorrow Elon gets hit by a bus. Are your clients getting into SpaceX? Kathy DeWitt from DeWitt and Dunn is my guest. The new Social Security report recently came out. We're running out of money in 2032, and that doesn't mean it's going away. But the people who are receiving benefits 5 years down the road here, they're going to get what, about a 20% cut or so? Kathy DeWitt, I mean, what do you tell a guy that's about my age? I'm 29, so I'm have a long way to go. Shut up. No, I'm almost 50. Should I even expect Social Security to be there at all? Well, also, Kathy DeWitt, when it comes to the investing and getting your money all right, there is always the specter of you get that plan set up and then they change the rules with the next big tax cut or next big tax hike or next big change. Do you foresee any big changes coming up? I know we have a midterm, so usually we don't get some around then. But I mean, even the next couple of years, I feel like they would have to do something about Social Security to kick the can, or I don't know. I just feel like we're on deck for a big change. All right, Kathy DeWitt, there's also the old adage you need to buy low and sell high. The Dow Jones is now above 51,000 all-time record highs. Should we be selling? All right. Well, I always like talking about money. This is Kathy DeWitt from DeWitt and Dunn. Check out the Financial Hour on WBAP, 11 a.m. on Sundays, and then again at 4 p.m. Thank you very much, Kathy. You too. All right. Coming up next on The James Show, I am really loving the World Cup tourists. We'll talk about how the United States men's World Cup team did on Friday, and then also the tourists. Just should make you so proud to be an American. And really, we should be a lot more grateful for the awesome life we lead. It'll make sense next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. The World Cup tourist should make you really feel good about your country. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Have you caught on to this social media phenomenon? The World Cup tourist. You know, we had, Netherlands, Japan here in Dallas over the weekend. If y'all are listening from the Netherlands, Japan, welcome. If you're here from another country, welcome to Dallas. Welcome to Texas. Thanks for coming. We really do appreciate all the compliments because we turn on our own media. We turn on our own news channels and our own politicians and our own academia, and they keep telling us what terrible people we are, how we're a bunch of flyover country, racist, bigot, homophobic, hayseed, window-licking, booger-eating morons. And we know that's not true. It doesn't really hurt our feelings because we don't hold high stock in what Rachel Maddow thinks about bug tussle. But it does warm our heart to see people who have been lied to your entire life about what America really is. Go find out for yourself how awesome we are. I love seeing some poor English guy get behind the wheel of a Ram truck for the first time in his life, and he can't wipe the smile off his face. He's bragging about it. Look at me, boys. Driving a big Ram truck. I'm going to Hooters. I like seeing Sean from Scotland going to Buc-ee's and saying, listen, y'all, this is a gas station. This is crazy. Have you heard these guys? Let me play you the truck guy real quick, because this is the one that really kind of could convict a lot of the people listening to the James Show right now. This is Robert. He's from the UK. And at the beginning, his accent's so bad. He's like, I've been driving for 5 minutes and I can't wipe this smile off my face. Why? Because he's in a big truck. He's in a giant Ram truck.
I've been driving for 5 minutes now and I can't wipe this smile off my face. I'm driving a Ram truck in America. Like, look how sick this is. Country music on the radio. Go on. I'm going to Hooters in a Ram truck in America, boys. Yeah. Praise for freedom.
Well, wait a second. You drive a big truck on a daily basis. Do you get that excited? When you drive a Ram truck, maybe you should. Maybe you should recognize how awesome it is, this giant machine that you get to take to work or you take to the grocery store whenever you want. That's really fun. But you know why this guy who looks like he's, 30, 35 years old is so excited about it? Because this is his first time to do it. So now, let's rewind the clock a little bit. Let's go back to when you were 15 or 16 or 17 or whenever you got your first big truck. You felt just like Robert did, didn't you? See, we do have a great life. We're just used to it. We have a great standard of living. We just don't appreciate it. You get to turn on the TV and have all these people just go through and try and pick out something to gripe about every day. And if you want to live life like that, you can find something to gripe about. But you have to overlook all of these amazing aspects of modern life and ignore them in order to be miserable as the people you see on TV. Remember the stat I was telling you last week? 55% of Democrats said they're thinking about leaving the country. That's insane, given the reaction from the World Cup tourists. That makes absolutely no sense. They're coming over here saying, wow, this is way better. And look, they're not going to tell you. I'll tell you, because I'll go do the digging. I love this country, and I want to set the record straight. You know how they talk about how in Europe, well, things are better over there. We don't have to dodge bullets. You know, y'all have you and your stupid Second Amendment, and you're over here just shooting each other, and the streets are just full of blood, and there's all kinds of drive-bys everywhere, and everybody gets affected by gun violence, and they don't understand. No, that's actually not the experience of the overwhelming majority of Americans. In fact, it's about 70% of counties in America who have 1 or 0 gun murders per year. It's really just concentrated in a couple of urban hyper blue hellholes, and the rest of us, that's just something we watch on TV. But even with that statistical anomaly, did you know more Europeans die of heat death than Americans die from gunshot wounds? You understand that that's mostly elective as well? I mean, I know you do. And most of it is because they don't have air conditioning. They could get air conditioning, but European governments do a lot to discourage air conditioning. Yeah, for some countries, you have to get a permit. You have to get a license to have an air conditioner. James, why would you need to get a license to get an air conditioner? I don't know, man. Socialists got to socialize. Statists got to state. So you got to get a permit to install it. In Geneva, Switzerland, you have to show a medical need for an air conditioner. Also, we may have been around on par or parity with our standard of living with Europe in the 80s. Like where if you went to West Germany and you compared that to Dallas, you would say, well, this is pretty much the same standard of living. We're both developed first world countries. We both drive similar cars and our houses are of similar size and similar amounts of us have air conditioning and similar amounts of us are getting similar amounts of health care. And since about 1980, though, we have grown at about 2% a year. European nations have grown maybe 1% a year. And that has added up over 40 years of compounding to the point where Mississippi, the poorest state in the United States, has a higher per capita income than Great Britain. You understand that? Our poorest state is now, on average, more prosperous than Britain. In fact, the most prosperous Western European country is Germany. We're right up there with them. If you don't count Liechtenstein and Luxembourg and the little microstates, don't be a jerk about it. But yeah, we're about on par with Germany, our saddest state that we make fun of for being mouth-breathing inbreds. On the actual front, as far as the World Cup goes with the actual game, the United States won 4-1. I've never seen the United States score 4 goals in a game in the World Cup. I think that might be the first time it's ever happened. I remember 4 years ago when we were in Qatar, we had the group stage where we played 3 games. We didn't even score 4 goals off of all 3 games. Here's a pretty good update here on the soccer side of it from WFAA.
Sunday was a day of rest for the U.S. men's national team here in Irvine, California. A well-deserved rest after what some are calling the greatest performance by a U.S. soccer team in World Cup history. Friday night's win over Paraguay saw the Americans score 4 goals, the most a USA team has ever scored in a World Cup match. It is in stark contrast to the Americans' performance at the last World Cup 4 years ago. In 2022, the Americans played 4 matches, scoring a grand total of 3 goals. They have already outscored themselves this year in a single game. The United States currently finds itself atop the Group D standings. If you're new to the World Cup, the top 2 teams advance from this group after they all play each other once. The U.S. was highly expected to advance from group play in this tournament. The 3 standings points they earned for the win and the +3 in goal differential has them in the driver's seat with 2 more group matches to be played. Up next for the Americans is Australia. The U.S. is a half-goal favorite to beat the land of kangaroos, koalas, and dingoes. The match against Australia is Friday afternoon in Seattle.
You know, I don't expect the United States to win the World Cup. It does look like they're going to get out of group play. Wouldn't that be great if we saw them make a run? If they could make it at least to the quarterfinals or, God help us, even the semifinals? Because it is America's 250th birthday. Anyway, I'll keep track of that. I'm a soccer fan. I realize most of the people listening right now aren't. That's okay. I'll just keep you updated on the storylines in a way that doesn't require you to be a soccer fan or really even know anything about soccer. So we'll just make that deal with each other. All right. Hey, it's almost Father's Day. What would your dad do with $5,000 to upgrade his favorite space? He could get a better TV for game days. He could get a big grill for backyard cookouts. Well, go to WBAP.com right now. Enter the Top Pop giveaway sponsored by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. I'm James Parker. This is News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, are you in pain right now? And look, maybe you're not like, oh, I'm actively in pain, but do you have a little bottle of Advil in your car's console? If you do, you know, that tells me you're living with pain. And I don't know if you've had an injury from college or you have some sort of manual labor job where you've repeated the same motion over and over. And, you know, you might just be able to have that all go away. I'm talking about QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics has done that for people just like you. They've run around, instead of keeping Advil in their console, now they can keep other things in their console because the pain is something that just used to happen. But it all starts with you making the first call to QC Kinetics. 972-972-8610. 972-972-8610. Well, it looks like we may have an Iran peace deal. At least the markets think so. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome back to the big show. And the main reason I'm taking this talk of a peace deal for real is because the people who are putting millions of their own dollars are taking this for real. And plus, you just heard there on the news update that more traffic from the Straits of Hormuz looks like things are getting back to hunky-dory over there, which I think is a technical geopolitics term, hunky-dory. But, you know, I found the two perfect sound bites to give you the balance on this story that you deserve. Number one, J.D. Vance called into Fox last night. They were doing some live special coverage, as we were here on WBAP. I did a couple hours for you last night to cover this topic as it was breaking. But J.D. Vance called in, and you can tell with the fact that he had it laid out in 3 bullet points that this was a prepared statement. So if you want to know what the Trump administration wants the world to know and how they would word it, this is the perfect 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, I think it's a big moment for the United States of America, thanks, of course, to the president's leadership and the hard work of the entire team. 3 things that I think are important for the American people just to appreciate about what this deal does for all of us as Americans. Number one, this is the immediate opening of the Straits of Hormuz and, of course, the lifting of the naval blockade that we've had on Iran along with it. The number 2 thing that it means is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and not just pursue a nuclear weapon, but procure or try to buy a nuclear weapon as well. That's built into this agreement. And then the third thing is, and this only happens, to be clear, if Iran delivers on their promise. And so there's an approach here where we verify and where there are real benefits so long as Iran meets their end of the obligation. But if the Iranians comply with this deal, it is going to fundamentally transform the Middle East for the next 50 years. It's going to end the war. It's going to make the Middle East more investable. It's going to mean a lot of prosperity, lower energy prices for the American people. This region of the world has been a basket case for my entire life and longer than that. And what the president has really set us to do is to certainly eliminate the nuclear threat of Iran. That's done. But now possibly to build to a new era of Middle East prosperity and success, where it's not a region of the world where the United States has to worry about so much, but where, frankly, we can generate a lot of prosperity for the American people out of that region. That's a very, very big win, and it all happened because the president stuck with it.
All right, now that is exactly word for word in the wording that the Trump administration wants you to know. On the flip side of that, Barack Obama just did a recorded interview with CBS News that's going to be released on Wednesday, but they released a little promo clip of it. And this 2 minutes here is really the flip side of this. And just a lot of people are going to focus on the last 15 seconds, and rightfully so, because he's like, this just shows that you can't bomb your way out of whatever situation. And you're going to focus on that. But the first minute and a half of this is good too.
It is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place and had worked for a long stretch of time before the United States pulled out of it. So I'm hopeful that bombing stops and ordinary people are no longer suffering as a consequence of the war. And then in retrospect, it's a reminder that on a lot of difficult foreign policy problems, the notion that we can just bully our way or bomb our way to solutions may sometimes seem appealing, but the fact of the matter is that taking the time to explore diplomacy and exhaust the possibilities of coming up with deals that don't solve 100% of the problem, but solve 80, 90% of the problem, while avoiding the necessity of going to war.
All right. Listen, I've already gotten emails because I played that clip in the special coverage we did last night, and I did play it in the first hour of the show. But the comebacks from that are, exactly what you're thinking right now. It's the easiest guest comebacks in the world. You can't bomb yourself out of problems. You can't just bomb your enemies into submission. How do you think World War II ended? What do you think we dropped on the Japanese? Was it water balloons? Is that what we dropped on the Japanese? Is that what we dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima? I mean, how did we get the Germans to surrender? Did we throw Dresden a parade, or did we bomb them off the map? And you go back, it's pretty much every major conflict that has been solved in history has been done with just a bunch of death and destruction thrown at it. It's the most normal thing in the world. Why would you even say that? Oh, you can't just bomb your way into submission. Yeah, you can. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. A lot of things I'm like, hey, it can't be that simple on this one. It kind of is that simple. Coming up next, though, to give you a little more depth, Colonel Grant Newsham is going to be on the James Show to talk about the X's and O's on the ground of how we're actually going to pull this Iran peace deal off. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, so we supposedly have an Iran peace deal. Can we pull it off? I'm James Parker. It's The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley Van Camp and Robbins, my next guest, who's been a stalwart on The James Show, and also hear him on other WBAP shows as well. Makes me kind of jealous. Colonel Grant Newsom's coming back on. And first off, the thing I'm looking for with any Iran deal is the uranium, and I'm not feeling too good about the uranium situation on this one, Colonel. Well, it does look like the Straits of Hormuz are open. Do you think Iran has the ability to close it anymore, even if they wanted to? Colonel Newsom, do we know the status of the uranium? Because the theory I'm starting to lean toward is it's probably buried under some mountain in some facility that's already been bombed all to hell. Well, I hate to sort of ask you impossible questions, but what happens if we don't have a uranium understanding in 60 days? Bombs fly again? Well, Colonel Newsom, when I was saying if we don't have an agreement on the uranium in 60 days, do bombs fly? I think the alternative to that was, do we just blockade them again? Do we just do the economic constraints on them? Okay. Well, it all sounds good. How do we find your great work online? That sounded like an uphill battle there, but still, you can hold on to cautious optimism that this could all work out. Coming up next on The James Show, we are playing Dead or Alive for, check this out, a VIP package to our America's Birthday Party. We have teamed up, WBAP has teamed up with the Dallas Express at the Longhorn Ice House on, wait, this says Wednesday, July 1st. Didn't I see something else that said Thursday, July 2nd? Because I am rearranging my entire world around this thing. Let's see. Hang on. I just got some conflicting notes here, and now I'm double looking it up on the website. But the headliner is a guy named Rich O'Toole. He's a country singer, Texas country, and he sings a lot of pro-America content, a lot of stuff about how awesome this country is and how great it is to be an American. And so it's a natural fit for us because we're a Texas talk station. We wanted to have Texas country music, and we wanted to have pro-America stuff. So we're doing that. I'll get a better answer for you. Either July 1st or July 2nd. Thanks for the confusing notes, fellas. I was under the impression it was on that Thursday, but I'll find out on the break and correct it. But that's what we're playing for. It's a VIP, it's a group of VIP tickets to that party. I'll be there for the meet and greet. Rich O'Toole will be there. He's going to re-release his album, American Kid. And it's going to be a good time. It's kind of the next Park Report, but we're just rolling it all in with the July 4th and the Longhorn Ice House and the Dallas Express. So that's what we're doing next. If you want to try and win a VIP package to come to our 4th of July party, call in right now. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. You win this contest. You and I are going to hang out, listen to some country music, and absolutely crush some beers for America's birthday. Dead or Alive next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, I have the real info now on the America's Birthday Party. I'm James Parker. This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. If you're just joining us, I was having to confirm the dates of our 4th of July party for WBAP. You knew we were going to do something. It's the 4th of July, and we're WBAP. It's America's 250th birthday party, so we got to do something. So we're teaming up with the Dallas Express, and we are going to have a party at the Longhorn Ice House. And the good news on this one, Wednesday, July 1st is the day. Wednesday, I figured it out. I got my head out of my backside for 5 seconds and found the flyer. Sorry if you're just joining us. I had conflicting notes. One of them said the second, one of them said the first. It's the first. It's over there off Northwest Highway, kind of by 35. The headliner is Rich O'Toole. His album American Kid is going to get a re-release at this party in honor of America's 250th birthday. And we are playing for a VIP set of tickets to our bash on today's edition of Dead or Alive. Thank you, Mr. Jovi. Welcome to Dead or Alive. Now we have a special challenge on today's episode of Dead or Alive, because in honor of the World Cup being in Dallas, look, we have millions of people that are coming to visit America right now. Might be the only time they get to hear Dead or Alive. And so in honor of all of our World Cup visitors, I wanted to do famous classic soccer players. See, that's a good category. But then I remembered we're in America and we only know one classic soccer player. All right, so we're going to go to Kelly. Hey, Kelly in Weatherford. You ready for Dead or Alive?
Yes, sir.
All right, Kelly. Americans really only know one legendary soccer player. Can you name him?
Oh, God. No.
Some guy that was playing, 50 years ago? Name one guy that was playing soccer 50 years ago.
Well, he's not American, but Pele.
There you go. Pele. Now, Kelly in Weatherford, that's step one. Step two, Pele. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
No. Sorry, Kelly. Dang it. Thanks for playing. Well, you were half right. What are these other names? Sylvia? Sylvia in Princeton.
Yes.
Are you ready for Dead or Alive?
Yes.
Okay. Sylvia in Princeton. Is Pele dead or alive?
He's dead.
That's right. He's dead. It was. Say what?
He's dead because I'm from South America. And I know.
Oh, really? Sylvia from South America. Let me guess. Are you from Brazil?
No, I'm from Bolivia, but I live in Princeton.
Okay, close enough. Well, Sylvia, you've just won a set of VIP tickets to come to the America 250th birthday.
I'm so excited. I'm always crying.
Oh, good, good. Well, have I met you before?
No, sir.
All right. Well, I look forward to meeting with you. Are you going to help me crush some beers?
Of course.
Who you bringing with you? You got a date? You got a husband?
Celebrate. I have a husband and I have children.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, I'm going to put you on hold. Good Garrett will get your email. We'll send you tickets. And then I'm going to be hanging out with you on Wednesday, July 1st. The whole party is from 6 to 10. I imagine we will probably linger a little bit longer than 10 o'clock, but we had to put a cutoff on it somewhere. So come on out. Dallas Express and WBAP are getting together to have a 250th birthday party for good old America at the Longhorn Ice House. That's happening Wednesday, July 1st, 6 to 10 p.m. It's the one over at Northwest Highway and kind of 35-ish, a little west from there. There's a meet and greet with Rich O'Toole, and his American Kid album will get a re-release. I will be at the meet and greet, be there to hang out with you. I would love for you to come out and say hi and share America's birthday with all of the James Show listeners that can make it out. All right, coming up next on the James Show, one final look at the top headlines of the day. Iran, race war, trillionaire, World Cup. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, we're going to be keeping an eye on this Iran war peace talk situation. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And, you know, I'm not really concerned about the well-being of the Iranian regime or the Ayatollahs and, you know, the Iranian people. I don't want them to suffer anymore. But, I mean, you and I, what are we really worried about? We're worried about, well, price of gas, right? We were kind of worried about the sleeper cells waking up and attacking if we did something in Iran. That turned out to be a bust. Do you remember that? Do you remember one of the reasons that the critics had in griping about the Iran war? Boy, if you do that, they've got sleeper cells here, and they're going to wake up and they're going to start doing terror attacks, and we'll regret it. And a few people at the beginning of the bombing did have their little hissy fit reactions. We had the Austin shooter on 6th Street that had the Iran shirt and the Iran book and the Iran flag. And so, I mean, that wasn't like an organized sleeper cell attack. That was just some lone gunman going nuts. And what do we have? Like 3 or 4 of those? Somebody upset about the Iran war popping off. But that only lasted for about, the first week or 2. We haven't seen any of that since. So that should kind of make you feel better. Also, that would be a terrible confluence to have, because to have an attack from an Iranian sleeper cell while we're hosting the World Cup. Oh my goodness, what level of mess would that be? So we got very lucky here, and it looks like this World Cup thing's working out well, by the way. Are you following this on social media? I realize there's a big chunk of my listening audience that doesn't even have Twitter or do much with social media, and so I feel like I'm telling a lot of people for the first time. But what we're seeing is the people coming to these various towns to go to these various games for these World Cup sites. And they're pretty much reporters. It's almost like a Yelp review where someone from the outside world who doesn't have a whole lot of preconceived stereotypes built in, just they know what they've seen on the media is probably just a facade, and they're looking forward to seeing the real America. But the one embarrassing thing about the Dallas reporting, there was two Japanese tourists that I saw that landed at DFW, and they're like, oh, cool, we've got trains here. We'll take public transportation to our hotel. Where's your hotel? It's in Deep Ellum. It's like, oh, dude, it's not a good first look for the city or for Texas as a whole. You are not getting the true deep in the heart of Texas experience. If you're on the DART train from DFW, then you get dropped off in some exchange close to Deep Ellum, and now you've got to walk the rest of the way to your hotel. You're thinking it's going to be like, maybe you'll go past a couple farms and you'll see some longhorn steers and maybe a tractor, big red barn. In reality, you're in this scary hellscape of a train. There's no one around you but some really scruffy, scary guys. You're like, it's only 11 o'clock at night. What the hell's going on? There's a homeless guy peeing in the corner. It stinks. It's scary. It's not a nice neighborhood. It's not like a lot of bright, shining faces enjoying their evening on the train. It's just the lowest of the low, the worst of the worst, the dregs of society. And you're like, this is scaring the hell out of me, and this is a Thursday. So that's kind of embarrassing. On the flip side, did you see the Japanese tradition for the World Cup that has returned? I'm telling you, man, Japanese are a special people. It's just one little chain of islands. It's not even that big. They don't have a lot of resources. They don't have any oil on their islands. And somehow this little group of people have been able to come up with so much cool stuff that we've integrated into our American society. I don't know if you realize everything from ninjas to Nintendo. And then to come here, the tradition they brought with them is if there's a Japan game, you go, you watch it, and then win or lose, no matter how your team does, the Japanese people pull out a bag that they brought with them, open it up, and they pick up all the trash around them. They have a glorious, proud tradition of leaving places cleaner than they found them. And oh my God, Miss Parker would love these people. Miss Parker's like, I should have married a Japanese. You should see the ox I'm married to now. Because, I mean, living with me, it's like living with Sasquatch. I just leave like a cloud of dust behind me, like Pigpen and Peanuts. It's Got to be awful. But kudos to the Japanese people. So impressive. You know, they when you look at the news and you see if there's a drive-by, how many drive-bys have been from a Japanese fellow? In my observation, you know, I don't have 100% memory recall, but I think it's right at 0. I think we've seen more white guys do drive-bys. I've seen a Vietnamese guy do a mass shooting in New Orleans one time, but I've never seen a Japanese guy do one of those gangland shootings where you just pull up on an Airbnb and let it fly because someone disrespected you. Japanese people, are they stabbing anybody to death at track meets? Are they going on mass shooting sprees at the Sunday Fun Day? Do they come up here and try and set up these Sharia city colonies where it's a culture within a culture and they refuse to assimilate? Have they ever caused one problem in America? Well, I mean, since Pearl Harbor, since the whole World War II thing, I guess. So, okay, so let me put a big caveat in it. Since World War II, has anyone had a problem with these guys in America whatsoever? Their immigrant group or their people group or their mores or their traditions or their religion or anything like that? No big crime syndicates? No big running of drugs? Venezuela sends us train to Aragua. Mexico has all kinds of awesome cartels, the Zetas and El Chapo and all that fun stuff. Heck, I think even Canadians have caused us more grief. I mean, thanks for Ryan Gosling, but can you take back Justin Bieber? I'm kidding. I like Justin Bieber. All right, so I'll continue with all these updates as the week goes along. I know as far as the World Cup goes, the next time the U.S. is playing isn't until Friday. So you're not going to get a whole lot of game updates, but I am going to give you more updates of the visitors and the reporting because it warms your heart. 55% of Democrats polled last week said they're thinking about leaving the country. You have World Cup people coming here and they're just blown away by how awesome it is. There is a severe disconnect between the reality and the things that you're seeing on social media. That's for damn sure. All right, that's going to about do it for the James Show today. Remember, we have the 4th of July party coming up. It's going to be on July 1st. We are partnering, WBAP is partnering with our friends from the Dallas Express, and we're giving America's 250th birthday bash. Rich O'Toole, he's a Texas country singer. He's going to be re-releasing his album, American Kid. Sounds kind of apropos for a 4th of July party. And we're all going to do it at the Longhorn Ice House. So come on out. It's on a Wednesday, July 1st, the Wednesday before the 4th of July, from 6 to 10 p.m.-ish. And there's a meet and greet and all that fun stuff. There's an ability to get VIP tickets if you want to get an extra hour just hanging out with me and the guys doing the show. And really, I would love to meet you. General admission is free, by the way. We just wanted to make sure that there was an ability for everyone to go and not someone to say, well, I'm not paying $20 to go. Or if you're like me and you know, you have a big crowd you run with, that can get pretty expensive. So no, the general admission is free. If you want VIP packages and reserved seating, if you want to come to the meet and greet, you want to get a little extra time with Rich O'Toole and the other celebrities, and then also me, you can go find the links for that on DallasExpress.com. I'm James Parker. Mark Levin's coming up next. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.